Hi, everyone. Welcome to Insight Policing Video Playback. So my name is Megan Price, and I direct the Center for Applied Insight Conflict Resolution, and I teach Insight Policing. So what we like to do with these videos is really take a look at a body cam or dash cam law enforcement interaction and put a conflict resolution lens on it to see, what can we pay attention to and how could we use Insight Policing conflict communication skills to see if there might be a different outcome. I'm here with Mike Delaney.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me again, having me back.
It's always a pleasure. So Mike's a senior trainer with Insight Policing and, over 30 years of law enforcement experience.
Hello.
I chose this video because in our trainings, we talk to lots and lots of officers. And something that comes up over and over again is how situations that aren't dealt with during an initial call, they show up, they pop up over and over and over again and can escalate, right? If somebody is mad, somebody's frustrated, somebody's irritated, either with the law or with a neighbor or, whatever might bring an officer to their home or grab their attention, it's really easy for officers to just kind of put a Band-Aid on the problem and take off. And so that sets another officer up to have to clean up the mess.
It's not good because more often than not, the situation is escalated. Okay. Anytime people are calling the police, the community feels the need to call the police for assistance. The situation may already be deemed an emergency situation for that person that's calling. So once we get there, the situation is already escalated. And more often than not, people may feel that, okay, you didn't solve the problem the first time. You're here again. I don't want you here. I don't want this problem. So we have to bring it back down to where it needs to be.
The video that we're going to show you, I would definitely recommend that the link is underneath the video. So definitely go back and watch the whole clip. We're going to be showing you an edited version, just the key pieces. But the officer, this is an officer, he's responding to a residence where there's an ex-girlfriend who wants to talk to an ex-boyfriend. And the mother comes out the door and, has actually called I think it's the sheriff's office and asked the sheriff to remove the ex-girlfriend. But the ex-girlfriend is visibly withdrawn, upset, not wanting to talk. And so in this situation, the deputy is doing what he can to try to remove the ex-girlfriend. He ends up being successful. She takes off, and that's where things get really interesting. So why don't we play the clip, and we will stop it to point out some places where the officer could use some conflict communication skills to really change and alter the interaction.
So before you play it, Megan, I just want to point out again, as always, we're not here to judge the actions of the officer or the young lady in this situation or anyone from the community. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get everyone better as a whole. So looking at these situations after they occur, that's the best way to do it. Let's address it as they occur. Let's sit and talk so we can all get better with this.
Hello? Hello? Reason why you keep knocking on that door? Okay, well I need you to come over here and wait for the door. Do what? No?
So I just want to stop it right here because this is a really interesting interaction. So this deputy actually asks this woman about her decision making, and that's something that we cover in our courses, right? So he's noticing that she's banging on his door and wants to get in. So he's asking about that action. Is there a reason that you're banging on his door? And she answers, right, Mike? Did you see that?
Yeah, she answered. So she that door was open for her. So she was communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and the officer did a great job of asking that. Is there a reason why you keep knocking on that door? But I don't think he followed through enough to dig deeper in that situation.
So I'm actually just going to go ahead and rewind that a little so we can see that again. So the officer asked the question, great job. She gives an answer, but he doesn't use the information. Instead, he says, well, step back, kind of, I'm not really attentive to the reason why you're here, even though I asked the question. I just need you to step back. So let's hear that again.
Reason why you keep knocking on that door? Okay, well, I need you to come over here away from the door. Do what? No?
He kind of leaves it hanging there.
Yes.
Ma'am, step away from the door.
All right, go inside. I don't want her here. She's been asked to leave many, many times. She doesn't want to leave. I don't want her hurt. I don't want her arrested. I just want her out of here, please, and I want it noted. I want a report. You could see she's been doing this forever. I've been waiting for my glass to come in and break. She dated my son. They're not together anymore, and I don't want her on my premises. This is my home,
Okay.
and I don't want her here, and this is my son. And I don't want him coming out of here because I don't feel safe with her, with him.
Okay. Ma'am, what is your name? Ma'am, what is your name?
I don't want her in trouble. I just want her to understand she's not welcome
Okay.
here.
What's her first name? She doesn't want to answer me. Sandra?
Samantha.
Samantha? Samantha, are you hearing what she's saying? Hello? Samantha, do you have your driver's license, your ID with you? Okay, this is going to last for a couple more minutes till my other deputy gets here, and then she's going to have two routes. One, she's going to answer me, or she's going to go to jail.
Him, or are you going to leave? Okay.
Oh, no, she's going to go to jail.
Okay, so please, that's not what we want.
Just give me.
What do you think about that, Mike?
Wow. So the officer gave Samantha, the young lady, two options: either answer me or you're going to jail. In that situation, that was counterproductive. So we all know that the officer or the deputy, he has a goal when he responds to that call, and his goal is to get her to leave that situation. Okay, we understand that. But in this case, we're going to see a little further into it. It may be a little bit more, like you said before. Try to dig a little deeper and notice her responses or her lack thereof, and address that. You know, that ultimatum, look, answer me or you're going to jail. That's going to shut that situation down. You know, we talked about her door being open earlier, very early when she was communicating. That door is shut now, especially when you have those options: talk to me or go to jail. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell. I mean, she's looking at her phone. She's not looking up at the officer. She's completely kind of shut down in this interaction. And he has the opportunity to open her back up by paying attention to her, noticing her demeanor, and getting curious again, listening to the answer and using that information that he discovers. But he doesn't quite do that here. Okay, so let's keep watching. And instead, it's the ultimatum.
Yes.
Okay, I don't have it with me. You still need to leave.
Well, then you need to talk to me. I can understand how relationships and stuff like that can be very, very volatile. But this is not the way to act like it, because I'm assuming you're an adult. All right? What is your last name?
I don't know.
So again, they achieved that goal of her leaving. So she's walking away. And so the main goal is achieved. Mm-hmm. But as we talked about before, if there are deeper rooted issues here, then those three officers that are there now, they may be getting off from their shift, but the young lady may return or something else may happen. And, you have a different group of officers having to respond to that same situation there.
That's conflict behavior all over that exit.
Yes. And you said it before, her body language showed that before she walks off, that she was shutting down and she didn't want to be, she was uncomfortable. So, we teach in the training also to recognize that body language, that's conflict behavior. Okay. And we look at it, we see it, we notice it, and we verify that verbally. I see that you're upset or what have you.
Yeah. And then that sets you up to discover more, right? And really put what's going on for her out on the table so that it can be dealt with. And that's the key.
Yes.
So she storms off, and let's watch what happens next.
All right, like I said, if she comes back on your property, you call us. Well, she's going to give us another reason to take her.
Show Samantha 27 acres property.
You're welcome. She just blew through that stop sign.
Go get her.
She's gonna kill somebody.
Yep.
Already blown.
We're continuing on 27, 40 miles an hour. We're 50 and a 50 in the slow lane. Going down, we're coming up to West Virginia Street.
Turn the car off. Turn it off. Turn the car off.
Why are you
Turn it off. Turn the car off. Turn the mother car off.
Again, I'm not judging in this situation. I've been there before as well, where things kind of go off rail and you're kind of left with no choice, you may feel. But if it seemed like the officer got pulled into that escalation there that the young lady had.
I mean, she was resisting their directives at the very beginning when she was at the house, and she didn't want to leave, and she wasn't listening to the ultimatums or to the lectures. And then finally she kind of turns on her heel, stomps off, and then squeals out of the neighborhood. And so they're just upset. Why isn't she complying? How come this is the way that it's turning out, right? I can imagine if we were to talk to those officers, they would feel justified in what they did because all of their attempts to get control were unsuccessful.
Right.
And so then here we have this video of a chase and then guns drawn, like such a level so far above the call to remove her from the property, right? And so what's so interesting to me is that in this particular incident, it's not that the deputies left an unfinished situation for the next shift, right? Or for the people on duty the following week when the same call comes in and they've got to deal with it again. But this demonstrates that even on the same call, when we don't recognize the conflict behavior right at the beginning, or, they had plenty of time to start recognizing it, that the opportunity to escalate just grows. And as you're saying, not only on the part of the community member, but on the part of the officer, it's really hard to step back, to not get drawn in when your attempts to do your job are dismissed.
I totally agree. And it's never too late to pull back, to realize where you are. And as we say, take our exit off the escalation staircase.
Yeah.
It's never too late. Sometimes we may say or do too much, but we need to realize that and take a step back. And this is why this training is so important, just to provide these tools to officers around the country, around the world, these important communication skills, noticing that conflict behavior, verifying, and open up options to ask curious questions and go deeper to prevent situations like that from happening.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So with that, I think that is the quote of the video right there. It's never too late to take that exit off the escalation staircase. We can notice in ourselves that adrenaline rising and wonder, what is this about? And what is my best option? How do I actually want this to turn out for me and for the community and for our department? So